Hey there, welcome to Getting Real. I am your host, Monick Halm, and I am having, I'm going to get real with you. I'm having some technical difficulties right now with my computer. I don't know what's going on. My camera is here, and every time I put stuff here, it freezes. And then I have like other important things and notes over here. Anyway, I'm just going to do my best. So, so I'm getting real with you. And today we're going to be talking about creativity. Creativity, which might seem like an odd topic when we're talking about real estate investing, but it's not because real estate investing is not just about numbers and deals. It's also a super highly creative process. And today we're going to explore and tap into like how you how you tap into creativity, how you do it to find unique opportunities, solve challenges, and make your investing journey your own and more special for you. Um, so by the end of this episode, you're going to have insights and practical tips that you can use and tap into that will help you expand your real estate investing potential, expand your creativity. And this is for you, whether you are just starting out or you're already in the game and you're just looking to figure out how do you grow your portfolio in new ways. All right, so let's get into it. First of all, why creativity matters in real estate investing. And in order to be creative, I tried to create some what do you call it, some slides. So I'm going to try to share my screen here and fingers crossed this works out because everything is like freezing on me and being really wonky. But let's do, I'm not going to be able to do this perfectly. I'm doing this imperfectly. It's part of creativity too, actually. Sometimes what happens when you are being imperfect is that's where the creative magic happens when you start doing something new and different. um, yeah, I keep getting the rainbow wheel of death. My wonderful computer is not really working out for me, so no slides for now. But right, well, try again. Let me try one more time. 1 second. Share screen, present. See if I can share this. Okay. Yes. Yeah. It's not working. Never mind. So let's talk about why creativity matters for your real estate investing. So you use creativity in so many different ways. It's kind of like how do you find a deal? How do you stand out from the other buyers or sellers? How do you, when you have an apartment and you're just one of many, how do you stand out to tenants? How do you get new tenants? How do you um, use your creativity to finance a deal, to find the money that you need? How do you tap in? You can use your creativity to find the team members that you need, right? To stand out. There are a lot of different ways in which that creativity is really going to help you. So, using creativity, you can um, convince a seller to seller finance for you. Why that would help. You can use creativity in so many different ways, and you need to tap into your creativity in so many different ways for real estate investing. Now, a lot of people think that being creative is something that you either just are or aren't. Right? So it's like, okay, well, and I used to think that I'm one of 4 kids. I was kind of like the book smart one. I got good grades and I did that. And I always used to think it's like my brother Chris, he was the creative one. He was the one that would draw a lot, and he was the creative one, and I wasn't. And I was on a different path, and I went to law school, and I was very kind of left brain, or so I thought. When I went at one point, and I've told this story before, when I was in my first law firm and my appendix ruptured, and I ended up in the emergency room, and I had several days in the hospital, 9 days in the hospital, and then 30 days afterwards of recovery at home. I share this story to just give an example of how miserable I was as a lawyer because my first thought when the doctor told me I'd have to spend at least 30 days at home was, "Oh, thank God I don't have to go into the office for at least 30 days." And my next thought was, "Wait, that is bad." Like, I had done everything that I was supposed to do. I hadn't been creative at all in my career choice. I'd followed the plan exactly, right? I'd gotten good grades, I'd gone to a top college, I'd gone to an Ivy League law school. I was working in a big prestigious law firm partnership track, right? I'd done exactly what I was supposed to be doing, but I was that miserable. And when I was in the hospital, a friend of mine gave me this book as a gift. She gave me a book called The Artist's Way by um, Julie Cameron. And that book, The Artist's Way, is sort of like 12 steps for artistic recovery. It's like, how do you find your inner artist? Which I didn't think I had an inner artist, but I had all this time at home afterwards where I was just at home recovering. And so I started to do the exercises in that book. And as I started to do that, and there were things like, doing morning page, waking up, writing 3 pages, doing a weekly artist date, going off by yourself and doing something just fun for no reason, and then all these other exercises. But what happened was, as I started to just do these creative things, it completely transformed my life, and things that were inauthentic just fell away, and then other things sucked in. And and one of the things that I realized, and as I started to look at more of this creativity and right brain versus left brain, I'm kind of a research geek. I'm a studier, and once I get into something, I like to go really deep. So I started to really study that. Before doing what I'm doing, at one point I was a career transition coach for lawyers, and I actually wrote. I recently found in my computer. I wrote a book about how do you like tapping into your right brain, right? What's it called, right brain for left brain professionals. But I looked really have studied and looked into how you how you can tap into this creative part of yourself, because when you do, it really can transform your life. And I have since used that and tapped into how do you use that for real estate investing, because that's important as well. Now, one of the things that people often think is that you're born creative, and you either are or you aren't. Like, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm not creative. I can't even draw a straight line." First of all, there's nothing creative about a straight line. All you need is a ruler. But it's not true. So there is a positive psychologist called Csikszentmihalyi, who did a very in-depth study on creativity. His book is called Creativity. And what he and his team did is they interviewed all sorts of people regarded as highly creative in different fields. So there were people that were in fields you might expect, so visual artists and musicians and things like that, and writers. But he also interviewed different politicians and social psychologists, just different people who were in their field were regarded as highly creative. And they spent hours interviewing all of these people, and finding out, and just asking them everything about their backgrounds, and, what were their childhoods like, to what was their alcohol and drug usage like, or their sexual habits. I mean, they went deep, and they asked all sorts of questions to try to figure out what these people have in common. Well, what they found might surprise you. So there were two things that everyone had in common. All of these highly creative people. It wasn't about their childhoods. Some had unhappy childhoods, some had happy childhoods. Some never touched a drop of alcohol or drugs. Other ones used them quite a bit. There is some that were like celibate like monks, and others that were super, sexual, and like everything in between. What they did have in common were these two things. One was that the people who were super creative were the most curious. They asked a lot of questions, tons of questions. They were very curious. So creativity is not about having all the answers. Creativity is about having lots of questions, right? Questioning. And often those questions like, how could this be different? How else might be doing it? How does this work? How does this, it's just almost like there's another study that this Canadian psychologist, I'm forgetting his name right now, but he did a 20 year study on creativity. So they tested a large group, thousands of 5-year-olds. So they tested a bunch of 5-year-olds on their creativity and tested them from, not at all creative to highly creative. At 5, 98% of 5-year-olds tested as highly creative. So it's something that we're all kind of innate, right? And then he tested them again at 25. So 20 years later, same sets of kids, now they're young adults. How creative were they? At that point, 2% only were testing highly creative. So what happened that they got uncreative? So I think a big part is this questioning thing, right? We we're taught out of being curious. In class, in school, usually you're not taught to ask questions. You are taught to listen and parrot back what you heard. And you're taught to just like be quiet. And often people who ask too many questions, they're labeled disruptive, and and they might be ostracized by the other kids, right? We're taught out of being curious and asking questions where we get rewarded for having the answers, not having the questions. But creative people have the most questions. So there are different exercises you can do to like tap into that questioning ability, to retrain your brain to ask lots of questions. And often and our brains are like Google on steroids. If whatever you're asking your brain, it will help you find the answers. So we don't ask many questions, and typically the questions most people ask themselves are often disempowering, right? Why doesn't this ever work out for me? Why is this so hard? Why is this right? And your brain's going to give you answers to that, as opposed to, how could this work out for me? How can I, so there's special questions that you want to ask. I will tap into this as part of you, and actually get into the habit of just asking questions. There is an exercise that I saw in one book called How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci. And I won't go into his story, but he's Leonardo da Vinci of David and the Mona Lisa, who also invented or conceptualized like helicopters and theory, like plate tectonics, a theory of the continents, and like we create musical instrument. I mean, like, guys, super, super incredibly creative. There's like a long laundry list of things that he thought of and conceptualized. But his notebooks are filled with observations and questions. And so one of the exercises that you can do is like just get into the habit of thinking about a topic and coming up. You set a timer, and you for a minute, and you come up with as many. You're thinking, it's like, how do I, it's like a real estate deal. So you can come up with as many who, what, why, where, when questions as you can. And it's just, you know, who can I talk to that might help me get more deals? Who can I, Who knows the buyer, the blah, blah, who are the team members I need? Who are right? You just come up with like, okay, I'm gonna 1 minute, all the who questions, one other minute, all the what questions, another minute, all the why, where, when. And just when you do that and you get into the habit of doing that, the more you do that, just asking the questions completely opens you up. So getting curious. So that was that was one thing that everybody had in common. Another thing that everyone had in common, all the highly creative people, is that they had a sense of awe and wonder about the world, like a childlike sense of awe and wonder, no matter how old they were, right? And when you think about it, right, a lot of things that we interact with all the time are absolutely miraculous, but we just don't pay attention for the most part. But the people who are really creative go like, oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm gonna just this is one of my favorite things. I'm sort of obsessed with these like multicolor pens. But when you think about this, right? And and I use it, but think about all the design decisions that go into making this. It's pretty awesome, right? It's like it's such an elegant it's such an elegant design. It's six. They figured out how to get six different colors right into this pen. Also, the fact that they can make millions of these and they're all identical. Like how cool is that, right? And all the materials that are there, the different colored inks, like how do they make the green? How do they make the orange? How do they make the red? And so when you look and you pick up anything and you can just get into and you allow yourself to get into amazement about it. I mean, there are things that are easy to be in awe of, right? The sunsets and the sunrises and the ocean. But we are surrounded all the time by things that are so cool. I mean, not the least of which is like your phone. Good Lord, you have like just almost all knowledge that you could ever possibly want or need. And you're like at your palm. The thing talks and I mean, it's unbelievable. It takes great pictures, and I mean, it's just insane. So the creative people don't ignore the miraculous and the awesome in life. They find things and they get really excited and really in awe of all the things. And when you imagine, and I like to think about like what is one thing, like as a kid, do you remember like one of the things that was so awesome and exciting to get was a big cardboard box, right? Do you remember like having somebody gives you like a big cardboard box? Oh my God, that's so cool. You could make it a fort or a castle or a ship or whatever, like it could be anything. And it was so exciting. And you could get into like I actually almost don't feel like kids need to have fancy toys. It's like you give a kid a big old box and maybe a pot and some markers and off to the races. They're so happy because they get into like awe. You can get into awe and get super excited about things like a big cardboard box, and that's creativity. So all right. Now let's tie this into real estate investing. So how does this work with real estate investing? Why does this matter? So there are different ways that you want to think about, the real estate investing and how you can tap into it to be more creative. So one is when you're looking at a particular property, right? How can you use this property or shift this property for its highest and best use, right? So it definitely takes creativity to see, oh my gosh, this like abandoned mill. Maybe it could be um, apartment buildings, or it could be new like co-working space, or there's a lot of different things. So that requires creativity, seeing something and reimagining it in a different way. um other and other way, and I like to think about too, there's a type of alternative thinking that's super useful. And like a creativity superhero was MacGyver. Do you guys remember the show MacGyver? And so MacGyver, it's back in the day, and then the one that was his like a similar type of creative thinker was the main character in this show called Royal Pains, and he was a doctor. But both of those characters, like so MacGyver would be in this very precarious situation. He's locked in a warehouse. There's a ticking bomb. He has to figure out how he can get out, save himself, right? And he's got like a car battery and some chewing gum and like some hay, and and he just sort of is able to go, oh my gosh, and he like takes the chewing gum and the battery and the hay, and he finds some glue in the corner, and he does, and he just sort of figures out how to rework them, and he's able to explode the door and get out and free himself and save the day. um, the royal pains, he's like, oh my gosh, I have to perform an emergency tracheotomy, and I have a pen, and I have like, the stapler, and and he would just sort of figure out how to do that. So those that type of alternative thinking we can really use in real estate investing. So how else can this property be used? That's a type of alternative thinking. How can we stand out from other buyers especially in a competitive market? That is alternative thinking. How can we what are different ways in which we can negotiate a deal, right? So it's you or win a deal. It's not just about the amount of money. It's not just offering more. How can we? It might be with the timing. It might be with offering, being having a different type of financing. Sure, doing, having no contingencies or different contingencies, and so there are different things that you can do if you can tap into alternative thinking. So that is useful when you are figuring out how do you make the best use of a particular property. So something that might not seem very valuable to somebody else, if you're able to find a higher or best use, you can get a property and make it very valuable. There I have in my upcoming event, I have a bunch of different women working all these different asset classes who are coming to speak and share their wisdom and expertise at our Invest Like a Goddess event, December 5th through 7th. And so many of them are doing these types of investing that you're like, what? Like, that is brilliant. One example is Michelle Bosch, who talks and invests in land, uh, teaches about it too. So land, most people are like, why would you invest in land? There's no money in land. Then you buy land and there's nothing on it. And it's just land. You can buy it in the land bank, but you can't make money in land. Well, Michelle has learned how to cash flow land at the tune of $70,000 plus per month, getting it at super discounted prices and making tons of money. That is very creative. She has very creative ways of which we're going to learn about at our upcoming event. And there are a bunch of other different women that are coming, investing in uh, mortgages that people have stopped paying on and making tons of money on that, investing in a bunch of different ways. And you go, what? Who would think to do that? Right. And there are creative solutions. So you want to be able to have that creative mindset. You want to be able to shift your perspective and ask different questions and just stay really curious and also be in awe, right? In that awe of what is happening and what is possible. Um, that actually inspires more creativity too, because when you get into awe, you just sort of lean in and go, wow, that's amazing. I want to know more, right? And I want to explore that. So that's your creativity. So those things can be taught, and it can be honed. That is one of the things that in the On Creativity book, Shahaley Shahaley, his name is a mouthful, he realized and that we're not fixed in our creativity. People could train themselves to become highly creative. So when you have that mindset, this growth mindset, a willingness to be creative, you too can do it, and it will make such a big difference in your real estate investing. So all right, that's what we're talking about today. That's it for now. I want to invite you again. I'm going to invite you to the Invest Like a Woman event, December 5th through 7th. One of the things I will be talking about is I'll go deeper into that how you can like what are some exercises that you really can do to hone and harness your creativity. And you're also going to hear from these incredible women doing amazing things to the tune of 7, 8 figures and per year, and you'll learn how you can do that too, right? Um, so that's happening December 5th through 7th. We have a special deal this Thanksgiving month through the end of November. You can get if you go to reigoddessesevent.com, and you can get a VIP ticket, $294. Put in the code grateful, and it will take it down to 97. And that ticket, the VIP ticket, one, it'll get you increased access to these incredible speakers. So this is a special event where you'll get to connect with them and ask them questions as well. You get a special gift sent to your house that will be prepped for the event. And each ticket includes a donation to Habitat for Humanity Women Build. So helping needy families get housing. We do well by doing well. So definitely take advantage of that. All right, so now it is time for our famed end of show Trinity, which is a brag, a gratitude, and a desire. So, what do I brag? I brag, I'm gonna brag that yesterday I got to chair, I hosted an event at the STEM Academy of Hollywood. It was an event, it was the chair for the young enterprising women, and it was a really amazing event. We brought together a bunch of different mentors who are incredible entrepreneurs mostly in the STEM fields, came to share their wisdom and knowledge with this large group of high school girls who were interested in that. And we did financial literacy, and then we had a panel and then small group mentoring with these young ladies. And it was so inspiring, and I'm so grateful that I got to do that. It was my second year of putting that together. So I brag that. So I brag that. And I'm grateful for just being able to, I'm grateful for my creativity and that improved it. So not only do I get to be, I guess this is sort of like a gratitude slash brag. I also, um, in addition to using creativity in my real estate investing, I'm working on a novel, which hopefully I've done by next year. My goal, 2025, it will be published. I've been working on it since 2020, slowly, not consistently. So it's part of my desire. But I brag, and I'm grateful for these creative outlets like my novel and my visual arts, and some painting, things like that, and photography. So I'm grateful for creativities and all the different ways in which we can play. And I I desire you to come to our event. I desire you to come to our Invest Like a Goddess event. Again, reigoddessesevent.com. Use the code grateful, to come as a VIP. Help our our organization, Habitat for Humanity, our beneficiary organization, and yeah, it'll just have a deeper experience. Also, come that you'll also get the recordings of the event with that ticket. So anyway, I'll see you there. Thank you for bearing with my tech issues. I love you. Stay real, and see you next time. Bye.